Thank you all so much for being here today. Elizabeth, thank you for just the inspiration that you provide all of us in showing what a difference one Green MP can make. In the way you've changed politics in Ottawa, we will change politics at Queen's Park.
Yes.
I just want to, Sean, thank you for the land acknowledgement, and I want to just take that one step further and just say how important I believe it is to have an Indigenous worldview in politics today. Indigenous people are on the front lines of so many of the issues that we care deeply about, and what I take so personally for me is just how important it is to listen and learn from our elders and apply those teachings to the decisions we make today to benefit our children and their children in the next 7 generations. And that's what's at stake today, and that's why we need to embrace an Indigenous worldview in politics in Ontario. I want to thank all of you for the amazing difference you've made. And we have punched so far above our weight. And I just want to say, sometimes I feel like maybe we've punched too far above our weight. I know you've heard me talk about the fact that, you know, we're preserving local food by putting pressure, successfully on putting pressure on the provincial government to reduce neonicotinoid pesticides that kill bees and threaten our local food supply. And you've heard me talk about just how passionate I am about supporting small local businesses and liberating local beer so we can create local jobs throughout the province. And you've heard me talk passionately about the fact that I believe politics should be about people. Not people with deep pockets, but people like you and me. And that's why we worked so hard last year to get big money out of Ontario politics. But my fear in all of that success, and it's really the kind of success I like to say, you know, look at what we've accomplished prior to being elected. Imagine what we will accomplish when we have seats at Queen's Park. But my fear in all of that success is that we become complacent. And now is not the time to be complacent. Now is the time to ramp up. And I want to share 3 dates with you that are particularly important to me. The first is 82 days. In 82 days, the Doline Quarry's water taking permit expires and will be up for renewal. The second is 240 days. In 240 days, we will be electing Ontario's first Green MPPs to Queen's Park. And the third is 812 days. According to climate scientists, we have 812 days to permanently change the trajectory of emissions globally if we have any hope of preventing unleashing catastrophic climate change. And I was thinking about that today because it was in 1992, at the failure of the Rio Summit, that I really switched my focus from being somebody focused primarily on social justice issues to somebody being primarily focused on environmental issues. And it's hard to believe that it's been almost 3 decades. 3 decades of stalling, of inaction, of saying that we can deal with it tomorrow. And we're down to 812 days. There was a letter that climate scientists put out this summer that said, if we don't reverse this by 2020, it will be irreversible. And that is why we need Green MPPs at Queen's Park, but because we cannot allow our children and grandchildren and future generations to deal with the catastrophe of the climate crisis. And I will not rest until we take action in Ontario to reverse that. I also will not rest over the next 82 days because I will not stop fighting to protect this community's water. And so I'm asking you, I am begging you, I am pleading with you to come out and knock on doors with me over the next couple months, to make calls from this office, to reach out to your neighbors and help me collect postcards. We've collected over 3,000 postcards asking the provincial government to finally just do what the city of Guelph has been asking them to do for almost a decade, and put conditions on that quarry, the Dole Lime Quarry's water taking permit, because water for communities should come first.
Yeah.
I am not going to rest. I am not going to rest over the next 240 days, because we have to stand up for small businesses. We're the only party in this province calling for lowering taxes on small businesses, because we have to have resilient, diverse economies that create the jobs of the 21st century, that develop the innovation and skill and scale it up so we can generate the prosperity this province needs to fund the social programs and the services we want our government to deliver. And I'm sick and tired of the... Oh, go ahead, please. I am sick and tired of the fact that we have two parties of big business and one party of no business at Queen's Park. We need a party of small business, and that's the Green Party of Ontario. We are going to fight over the next 240 days for a climate action plan that not only addresses climate change, but begins to address inequality in this province by delivering everybody in Ontario a climate dividend so you can afford to reduce your carbon footprint in the way that you need to reduce it, in the way that you want to do it, in the way that makes the most sense for you and your family and our community. I could give you a long list, but I want to end with an important issue to me. Today is World Mental Health Day. And I want to talk about how you do politics differently. And that's by basing politics on evidence and what science and experts and people on the front lines tell you. And the fact that since 1983, Ontario has commissioned 17 reports that have talked about how to fix our mental health system. And not a single recommendation from any one of those reports has been implemented. And I was so inspired by Noah Irvine, who lives right here in Guelph, who basically told me that even if just a couple of the recommendations from the select committee that was formed, all-party committee that was formed now 7 years ago, it's hard to believe they issued their report 7 years ago, that his dad would probably be alive today. And it is real people who are suffering in our communities due to inaction. And we are going to push this government to start doing politics differently and start following the advice of the experts that are giving us the solutions that we have. And unfortunately, nobody at Queen's Park is following them. And we are going to change that as Green MPPs. So I look in this room, and I am so deeply, deeply touched. Like, I'm deeply touched that Elizabeth made the trip all the way here to not only talk about our office opening, but to talk about improving our democracy today right here in Guelph. I'm touched by all of you being here today. But we now have to ramp it up. Now we have to ramp it up. And so I'm going to need three things from each and every one of you. I'm going to need your time. It is going to take a tremendous amount of time. I'll never forget in the last election, after the final debate, the Conservative candidate, Anthony McDonald, came up to me and he said, Mike, like, I don't know how you do it. You work 10 times harder than I do just to get 20% of the vote. I can do nothing and get 20% of the vote. And so that's what it's going to take. We hit 20% last time, but it's going to take more work to hit 40% this time. But we are going to do it. because I know you're going to give the time that I need so we collectively can make it happen. The second thing I need is I need your talent. And there is an incredible amount of talent in this room. I mean, Guelph is one of the most amazing communities in Canada and across the world. There is so much talent in this room. And I want to ask you to give a bit of this your talent to this campaign. And then the final thing I need is your treasure. Unfortunately, it takes money in politics. And so I know we're going to ask you for a bit of your treasure. And I know some of you have more treasure to give and some of you have less treasure to give. But Barack Obama said something to me that was incredibly powerful. He said, you know, our campaign, unlike previous campaigns, we take $1 donations. And the reason we accept $1 donations is because everybody should feel they have an opportunity to invest in this political movement. This is a movement that's about people. It's a movement that's about putting people first. And so I don't care if you have $1 or $1,000 to give to this campaign. I want you to be invested in it. I want you to be a part of it. I want you to be a part of making history. And on June 7th, 2018, I want to stand in a room. I've been dreaming about this room. I want to stand in a room like I stood in BC. And I want to see a room full of people, the same people that are here today, but maybe 3 or 4 times larger. So we'll need a bigger room. And I want to see the joy and the happiness and the excitement and the feeling that politics can make a difference for you as a person and for us as a community again. And that's what I felt. That's what I felt when I was in BC and I was there to see those 3 MLAs elected. And then when we are elected and when we form a caucus at Queen's Park, we will take the exact same approach that the BC Greens are taking. That we will hold the balance of responsibility. Because by you giving us your time and your talent and your treasure, it's really about it's not about getting me elected, really. And it's not even so much about getting Greens elected. It's about you feeling that you can trust putting your vote in somebody's hands. That you can respect politics again. That it can be about honesty. It can be about integrity. It can be about policies that put people first. That's what we're fighting for together. That's the change that this province needs. That's the change that we together are going to bring to Queen's Park on June 7th, 2018. And it starts today. Thank you so much for being here.